Good morning, Richie from Driftomaniacs here, and this is my Traxxas 4-Tec 2.0 Mod 1 gear mod. A couple of people had asked online if I could do a video as on exactly how to fit this. Gives you a greatly increased number of gearing options for any form of Traxxas 4-Tec, be it a 2.0 VXL or a non-VXL model, Ford GT, Ford Mustang, etc. You want to see how we got here? Please keep watching. This is my Traxxas 4-Tec 2.0 VXL Mod 1 gear upgrade. That's going to involve changing the 55 tooth spur for a Mod 1 gear. Now, the number of teeth on your Mod 1 gear is going to be down to your personal preference. If you're running a much hotter motor, however, Mod 1 gears are maybe something to consider. I do have a hotter motor arriving very shortly. Be aware though, when running Mod 1 gears on any car, there is going to be a lot more noise. Anyway, I'm going to show you exactly, step by step, how to fit a Mod 1 gear to your Traxxas 4-Tec 2.0. The first thing to do is obviously to remove the 4 screws and remove the gear cover, remove the motor, and I've undone the 4 screws that hold the transmission case on at the back, plus the 2 arms either side for suspension, in order to lean it out, because I want to remove this whole drive shaft up. Now, key point in doing this is we do not want this spur gear moving backwards and out of the pin fixing at all. We want it in exactly the same place as it is now. So in order to do that, we need to keep pressure on the gear that way. So we're just going to very gently put a little bit of pressure on there, and keeping pressure on all the time, keeping that forward. You don't want that slipping back at all, so we can remove the whole shaft. The reason for this will become apparent in just 1 minute, if I can ever get that I'm bearing off. So there we have removed our shaft. We want that pushed forwards all the time, because this is the distance we're going to be measuring. Okay, this is my existing shaft. I'm keeping that bearing and then gear it in exactly the same place. That is essential. Here I've got a new shaft. It is the same at both ends. This end has got the hole where the gear traditionally goes through. We're going to put the new shaft round the other way. It makes no difference. It is the same both ends, but I don't want that weak point of where the pin goes through causing any heat issues, causing possible fracture on there. So put it round this way. Okay, now ensuring that is exactly as hard forwards as possible, so ensure you've got no slop and the pin is the gear has not shifted back off the pin. You're then going to measure that distance and make a careful note of that, and I can tell you that is pretty much exactly on 15 mil. That distance, absolutely essential. Okay, now we're going to go very high tech with a Sharpie. You will note the Sharpie just goes through, if I can highlight that on the way, and it will touch the shaft when I put it through the Mod 1 gear. Okay, we're now just going to gently put our Mod 1 gear, ensuring the grub screw is not in there. Well, now you're going to push the Mod 1 gear on. It may need a bit of a tap, but you're then going to ensure that it's exactly 15 mil back from the end. So mine isn't, so I'm going to need to push that a little bit forwards until I get that gap exactly at that 15 mil, and I'm pretty much straight on there. Now what I'm going to do, so now I've got that on there, 15 mil. Now what I'm going to do is take my little Sharpie, mark off on that little dot, just checking through. I've got that nicely done inside. You can use any pen, but I just happen to have a Sharpie to hand. And I'm now going to remove that gear from there, taking very careful care that mark is still on there. Well, now hopefully you can see on there in the light. Now I've pushed the gear back, that little black mark where the Sharpie has made on there. I'm going to cut a flat spot on there, which is going to mean when I push my Mod 1 spur gear back down, it's going to be sitting in exactly the same place as the original 55 tooth was sitting. Anyway, that's going to be very noisy with my Dremel, so I'm going to do that outside. Okay, given a couple of minutes work with the Dremel in my case, or maybe a flat file in your case, you will have filed a tiny little flat spot. You don't want to go too heavy in there, just enough to ensure the grub screw locates well without spinning around the shaft when the thing's under full power. Okay, I've pushed the Mod 1 spur gear down here into place, ensuring that that distance is exactly on my 15mm before putting my grub screw back in. If you double check the distance, just remember to put a little bit of Loctite on there before tightening anything up, and just one last check that is 15mm from the end. Okay, well there we have it, our new Mod 1 gear ready to go on the car. One careful thing to note is the tolerances on this. There isn't going to be the middle bearing there because the collar is fitting where the bearing was before, so you're going to be reliant on the bearings at either end of the shaft. So the placement of this one is going to be absolutely essential that the thing is adjusted exactly right when you're dropping it in there. Now coming back to that spacing, just as I mentioned at the start, what I've done is I put a little 5mm bearing on here. Now I'm going to put some shims on here in order to space that out so that we've got no slop, so this thing is not moving around at all from end to end. Now for shims, to space it out, use Traxxas part number 1985. They're a little 5mm. Well, good guesswork on there. 2 shims either side of that new additional bearing in there, and the thing has got no slop. It doesn't want to move backwards or forwards on the shaft, so that should sit in there absolutely perfectly. Mod 1 gearing mod sorted. So there we have the basics of the Traxxas 4-Tec 2.0 Mod 1 gear upgrade. The size of the spur that you use will obviously be dictated whatever a size pinion you choose to use. Now you may need to do some serious work if you're going to go really big on the pinion and cut this tray away. That is entirely down to you and your personal choice. You're going to need to play around with the gear sizes obviously to check that everything fits in there alright, but that is the mechanics of how you fit the Mod 1 gearing in there. Bear in mind this will be much noisier than you are used to with any gearing. If you've run armour cars, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But this thing there is running now. The shaft is held nicely in this bearing at the end, which is the key thing, so we shouldn't get any vibration. Then isn't moving around at all in there. Well, I hope you found this mod useful. If you did, then please do subscribe, as I'm going to play around with the gearing myself and get some runs in hopefully later on this week. If you like this video, as ever, please subscribe and by all means share with friends.
Well, if you like this video, then please do subscribe. And if you want to buy your RC gear, where I buy mine, buy from F&M Hobbies in New Jersey. Many thanks for watching.